There's another quite substantial news event that's been happening.
Speaking of bootlicking.
Yes, but speaking of that delicious boot, let's talk of the Coronation, eh? Both of you have been down to the Mall today and yesterday.
Me for work, Ava for leisure.
Yeah.
I hated every moment of it. I'm really sorry. If you had been here yesterday, I wouldn't have subjected myself to it.
What's the vibe like in the main room? How's it feeling in there?
I think it was. I've been a couple of times down to the Mall for royal events in the past year.
Not for
you're on camera. Listeners, Ava was just miming a blowjob.
You are in for some fucking tweets, Ava Santina. Woo! Oh my days. Oh my days. Go on, Ed. Sorry. Keep going. Keep going. Fuck.
So, I've been down at the Mall for Queen's Jubilee, Queen's Funeral, this one. I met a woman today who I met last year, a woman called Lucy. It was very nice. She was delighted. She was actually there with friends she'd made from Uruguay and Kansas the previous year. When you go down, like, it is genuinely a really pleasant atmosphere. These people are there because they all have a shared interest, common interest. They're there to celebrate it. So it is like a party atmosphere. Would I do it myself? No, I don't think I would sleep on the pavement for any reason. I don't think. I think it's an interesting choice.
Do you not think that's a good assignment for Ed?
No, obviously not. A bit late.
I camped out on the Mall.
No, I'd quit.
No, he doesn't need to because he lives in London. If he was coming from Glasgow, he would obviously come down a couple of days earlier and camp, so he had a good spot because when he wants to make his pledge of allegiance to the King, he does want to be in as close proximity to him as possible.
I've said it every day when I wake up, just to practice.
Yeah.
What's interesting though, you say people would be like, you'd be chatting to people and they'd be like, "I'm not really a royalist though." And you're like, "Well, why are you here?" Like, "Oh, just to see it." You're like,
yeah, I think I saw Nick Cave said something about it recently, and I think he's been invited and he's going, and I actually sort of almost agreed with him, where it's like it's such a monumental historical event, even though you whatever you think about the monarchy, we can have that argument if we really want to. By the way, it's dumb, but. It is probably the most significant, other than the death of the Queen, the most significant sort of constitutional event for at least a generation.
Yeah.
So
a few generations.
If they invite you to go, you just go, "No, what else am I going to be doing?"
I think it'd be interesting, as in I think the spectacle of it is interesting as like a historical artifact.
It is. I don't know where I fit into it because I love the pomp and the ceremony, and I'll definitely watch it just to see the orb.
Is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember at the Queen's funeral, they chose like the 8 Marines with the best, most expressive faces to carry the coffin. That's why they were chosen, because they had like bug eyes and like weird mouths.
Really?
Like, yeah, that's why they were chosen to carry the. Do you remember that? You know that image of, I think it was on probably the cover of the Times maybe. It was all of this like really a Marine carrying the coffin right at the front, and his face is contorted in like agony. He was picked because his face can do that. I think that like the ceremony and the thought that goes into it, the whole thing is theatre and spectacle.
Did the Queen worry she wasn't going to get the front page?
I don't know if she chose him specifically, but I think like it's so interesting the amount of thought, etc. that goes into it, and it's like,
they practice at night.
Yeah,
that's been going on like the last few nights.
That's what.
I do. Oh no, you weren't here this morning. I was at Waterloo last night at 10:30, and there were loads of soldiers in the station, and I was like, "What the hell?" I phoned my dad, and I was like, "Oh my god, what do you think's happening?"
There's a fucking coup. It's happening, Dad. Get to Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
We're raising the flag.
Bring the boots.
Yeah.
No king but Jesus. No king but the Lord.
Someone I spoke to as well said. I asked her about anti-monarchist sentiment, and she said, "Well, you don't need to join in, but don't ruin it for everyone else." And I kind of think, well, say you're a Republican, this event is kind of being inflicted on you. You can't opt in to it. I think that's it's an argument against Republic sentiment. But if there's a bank holiday, if there's a 3-day celebration for something you fundamentally don't believe in, I think it's tricky to not.
But would they apply that to the picket line? Everyone's got so much to say about workers, going on strike or taking strike action. Well, do you know what? That's my day, okay? That's when I have a good time.
But you're at work.
Do we think that the monarchy should be opt-in? Do we think there's a different model there?
I'm a big believer, or my new package of ideas. If any political party would like to commission a strategist.
any political party.
Yeah, a subscription model. So there's always this talk about, well, they only cost us a penny per day, each taxpayer, right? Well, okay, you pay for it and I'll opt out of that subscription. Because for me, I'd rather see Buckingham Palace empty. We could get more tourists in there and generate more income. Tourism will prevail. I don't really care if King Charles has enough security around him. I don't care.
So you're basically suggesting King Charles opens an OnlyFans account?
Yeah, sure. Listen, do you know what? If we're going to get really heavy, there will be people who will reply to that point and they'll say, well, people will attack King Charles. Well, do you know what? Do you know how many men attack women every single day on our streets and they are never held to account? So maybe we should take the money from King Charles and give a personal security guard to every woman that wants to walk the streets past 10 p.m.